Here's another installment of video game companies not being consumer friendly. A whole EU video game lobbyist consisting of game companies from all over the globe made this statement regarding the Stop Killing Games petition. The decision to discontinue online services is multifaceted, never taken lightly, and must be an option for companies when an online experience is no longer commercially viable. I love how you said, must be an option for companies. Where are the options for consumers when those companies take down the games that they paid their hard-earned money on? At least give some gift cards or a free game as a compensation. But that would be a potential loss, wouldn't it? Because we really have to monetize every digital good, no matter how easily reproducible they are. Anthem is a mediocre game, but taking that game down in January 2026 means that the game will be a remnant of the history, and the only archives of people seen playing that game are the YouTube videos and live streams people make, which definitely includes the long loading times. We understand that it can be disappointing for players, but when it does happen, the industry ensures that players are given fair notice of the prospective changes in compliance with local consumer protection laws. Oh well, that makes it all better then. Don't worry, consumers. We will tell you when we kill our games ahead of time, before we actually kill them. Here's my advice to all of you. Keep talking about this issue. Keep lobbying this concern independently. And in case these companies continue to resist, learn how to sail the seas and realize that real ownership of games is when you run the game offline directly through their files and have it actually work. We have more excuses from the corporations and the joint boards on why they can't save games from being killed. Private servers are not always a viable alternative option. Alright, if that's not a viable alternative, then how about giving people their money back? Anthem will be closed on January 2026. That game will be totally unplayable once that date is reached. How are you going to compensate all the gamers who have bought the game? The protections we put in place to secure players' data, remove illegal content, and combat unsafe community content would not exist. Yes, they will. If there's an active community of gamers, they will police themselves. There are many gamers who are willing to keep these games alive for free. Just give them the tools. And if you can't do that at all, give them a freaking refund. Many titles are designed from the ground up to be online only. That doesn't mean the game is entirely unplayable offline. Those online-only games have to be playable offline first before they can be played online. Smartphones need to work without the internet first before they can go online. In effect, these proposals would curtail developer choice by making these video games prohibitively expensive to create. It's almost like you shouldn't make your games online only or something. If you can't make these games live, at least refund the customers. These corporations will make all sorts of excuses not to preserve the games that people bought. But at least my content is free, so if you like this video so far, don't forget to click the like button, comment, subscribe, and leave some tips through any of these means, including YouTube membership, links below. Thank you to all the sponsors this week, you're all fantastic. I am always supportive of emerging new technologies, and I even try to adapt myself to those. But there's a difference between adapting myself and forcing myself. That is something that Microsoft is doing with their employees when they push the staff to use internal AI tools more. It's no longer optional now. They absolutely have to use Copilot or whatever AI tools they're using on Microsoft. Now, I like Copilot. I do use it occasionally. I think it's fast, nice, and does the job that I wanted, even if it disconnects at times. But I really don't want Microsoft to force me to use this tool. I'll use this tool when I really need it. And Microsoft really need to stop forcing people for it. But then again, they are laying people off, so I guess those people are fed up with being forced to use AI, right? I kid, but I'm seriously disgusted at Microsoft and many other companies that do this. All that talent and effort absolutely go to waste. I've been seriously tempting fate as of late. Did you know that the latest game that I watch a no commentary long play of? Perfect Dark, the original on Nintendo 64. I watched someone play that game on YouTube with HD textures and even at 60 FPS. I have played Perfect Dark before, and my immediate thoughts when playing that game was the same as when I was playing Time Splitters for the first time. Isn't this just GoldenEye? Turns out it is from the same developer, Rare, and Time Splitters are from ex-Rare developers. But what I didn't know is that Nintendo didn't get the rights for the next James Bond, and Perfect Dark is something that Rare wanted to make that is similar to to GoldenEye. That's an interesting piece of trivia that I learned last week. It would be a shame if something really bad happened to the latest installment of the series. Oh wait, something bad did happen to the latest installment of the series, in the form of mass layoffs of Microsoft, which also lead to the termination of the initiative that was developing the new Perfect Dark, the one where Joanna Dark has that bizarre-looking crimson chin face proportions. It is very tragic that Perfect Dark got cancelled while a new James Bond game is coming up from developers with significantly more competence. By the way, that cancelled Perfect Dark game is supposed to be a quadruple A game. Quite ambitious of you wanting to be another quadruple A disaster, but at least that game came out. Regardless, thank you Microsoft for putting up another installment of game companies not supporting game developers. Let me remind you all that buying games support the companies, not the developers. Companies not supporting their developers is an absolute recipe for disaster, and we are constantly seeing that in the Western gaming industry that I wouldn't be surprised if it's crashing in some way or another. I think we all should stop gaming and start doom scrolling instead, because apparently they're the same thing. There's no difference in someone playing video games for hours to you doom scrolling TikTok or Instagram for hours. Well, that's not a universal truth. There are many times when I play video games and I feel fulfilled and happy. There are times when I scroll social media and I feel fulfilled and happy. Actually, that's a lie. Most of the time, browsing social media fills me with dread, and gaming just leads to a better emotional output, if you catch my drift. So, no, I don't agree that gaming is the same as doom scrolling, but putting that aside, please, for the love of all the good in the world, stop publicly asking for Grok to provide context on this tweet. You make yourself look like an absolute doofus. There's a Grok button there that you can press, which leads you to make a different private thread where you can ask the questions privately. Asking Grok publicly is just dumb, and you're exposing to everyone that you don't know basic stuff. Here's another dystopian AI hoopla, and it's incredibly nightmarish if you ask me. Last week alert, WPD officers seized approximately 61 grams of fentanyl and 22 grams of methamphetamine during a drug investigation on Brackett Street. 6 people face a variety of charges, with 2 of them charged with aggravated trafficking in scheduled drugs. Great job, officers of the Westbrook, Maine Police Department. I am glad that you're able to catch all those drug dealers and secure the drugs to make sure that they don't poison our youngest and brightest. That's what I would have said if the whole thing is real. It's not. I want you all to take a look at the amount of text distortions. Now, when have you ever seen small text like those distorted in such bizarre way? That's right, this is AI art. This whole picture is AI generated. Everyone called out how horrific this is, which led to the whole post removed. But seriously, think of the implication out of this image. The fact that police officers are willing to generate AI images and use them to pose as evidence in a legitimate case is some genuine dystopian nightmare that will haunt everyone's dreams. You really think you can't hate the police enough, but they keep on giving more and more reasons to. What did the NWA said again?
AI is bullshit.
Not what I had in mind, but close enough, I guess. Here's another installment of entitled streamers. This streamer named Snowcone talks about how expensive it is being a content creator. She received 10,000 Twitch paycheck that she spent $5,000 on travel, 2,000 rent, 500 stream setup, 400 Wi-Fi in real life toolkit, and the rest is to pay editors. If my math is right, you still have around $2,000 left. I assume those are for food. Also, can we go back to that $5,000 trip? Why do you spend $5,000 on trips? Where do you go that you need to spend $5,000 for? $1,000 stream setup with Wi-Fi in real life toolkit is a one-time purchase, if I recall correctly. Are you renting those things? Did you dump them for every single travel? You're making 6-figure salaries. How are you still struggling? Let's get back to gaming hoopla for a bit. Stellar Blade remains a frequently discussed game that always gets into the radars of absolute moral busybodies. You can easily separate the ones who don't get real-life pussy. It's a video of some VTuber playing the game with a very obviously pregnant Eve and Taki, who has giant tits. I mean, if you're into that, perfectly fine, but I don't see how installing these mods has anything to do with someone not having ever touched a real-life female private parts. The only reason these virgins want games on PC. Thankfully, these virgin PC gamers are perfectly fine living on their domain and would protect their virginity as long as their fictional waifus remain hot. So, you normal people complaining about these losers pictures online should worry about your own virginity, because I heard they're not taken yet. Funnily enough, that pregnant Eve mod can be seen as either pregnancy or she ate way too much fast food. I'm kidding, I just want to poorly segue this to our next supla. I didn't think to see a DoorDash Karen being discussed here. DoorDash driver was utterly incompetent, so I went off on her. I hate incompetence. And by went off, you mean being incredibly rude and disrespectful to service workers that did her best. Seriously, just read this chat log. The guy even go on all caps, and it sounds like this.
Ma'am, what are you doing?
I filed a formal complaint to DoorDash. I love the complete nonchalant response from the driver. I mean, okay, dude, it's the only correct response for this situation when you're behaving like a Karen. The entire service economy operates on the premise that we pay money to workers to outsource various services or products. None of that states you have to be an asshole to them. Mistakes happen, sure, but good service and basic competence are to be expected in exchange for us paying them. Nowhere in that sentence says, it's okay for me to be an asshole to someone who makes mistakes. By this reasoning, do you not think we have the right to complain about bad service at a restaurant simply because we can eat at home? You weren't complaining, you're being an asshole to service workers. I love how Community Note backs up the worker. Yes, there were constructions around the area and there were dust storm warnings. The OP denies the whole thing, but the moral that we should pick up from this is please don't be an ass to service workers. Their jobs are pretty hard already. Here's another food hoopla, but this one is slightly more amusing. This tweet was deleted, and for good reasons. Zohran Mamdani eating rice with his hands! Yes, that's how most Southeast Asian people eat their rice. That's how I eat my rice on a daily basis. How dare I, right? I don't know who Zohran Mamdani is, but I don't think that's an unusual thing that happens. I very sincerely doubt he has to scratch his anus any less than the rest of us, which makes that whole display unbelievably disgusting. You do realize that we wash our hands before we eat, right? That is something that every culture does, so welcome to the real world, I guess. No wonder why this tweet is deleted. And that's all for the video today. Here's a cat. Don't forget to check out my previous videos here. Click the like button, comment, subscribe, leave some tips, just $1 down below. And thanks for watching.